So once again, United going well in the Cup, but still chasing that elusive league title, the first league title since back in 1967. Norman Whiteside and Kevin Moran join us. Welcome both. Kevin, just put it into context that year, could you, for us? February '85, about the season, about where United were, about where you were at that sort of time.
Well, I remember we just signed a few players that season, you know, and every year I think with United, there was always that addition of one or two players, and we brought in a couple of real quality players in Streck and Olsen, I think Brazil as well. And always the expectation is always tremendous at the beginning of the season, and we've always been in there or thereabouts as well. So I would have thought around this time of the year you would have been looking at obviously a cup run, which we did have that particular year, but not only that, we would have been looking at, you know, doing well in the league, and I think we were nicely positioned. But it was early days in February.
Absolutely. I mean, Alan Brazil, I think I'm right in thinking he was bought to replace you to a certain extent, wasn't he?
There was quite a few bought to replace me.
Repelled all comers.
If I'm being honest, yeah. I think we've tried Peter Beardsley. We've had, well, Alan Brazil was another one. Yeah, but Alan came in that time. He didn't play that many games. And I did quite well that year, and sort of kept Alan out of the team. So he never really got started, if you like. I was just trying to hold him at bay. And
in general terms, at that stage in the mid-'80s, it was Howard Kendall and that splendid Everton side that everyone had to catch.
Yeah, he put a brilliant team together. I mean, Everton, I think they'd went to the FA Cup 84, 85 and 86 or something, and they won the league 85 and 87. So he put a real great team together there, especially with Reedy and Bracewell in the middle of the park. And they were a brilliant unit together.
Were you aware of that big burden of that league title I referred to at the top there? You've got to win the league, you've got to win the league.
Every year, every single year that went by, it just ticked up and racked up, and you were very conscious of it. And it was always surprising because it's almost like as if the weight of all those years fell on the manager at that particular time, as if he was there all that time, and the players as well, but it wasn't the case. It's probably not dissimilar now today to Liverpool. They're in the exact same position as we would have been then. And it is a weight, there's no doubt about it. And every year, but we had the expectation that this would be the year that we would do it. Because at the time, I can remember, Liverpool were the team in the past that we feared. And it looked like as if they were waning a little bit. Now we had the opportunity to come, but then everything came with a really strong team.
And how was Ron Atkinson in that period? Did he take some of that pressure off you, or did he get you guys together and go, fellas, we've got to do this, we've got to do this now?
I can never remember him putting that much pressure on us, and from a point of view of saying, we've got to do that. It's the last thing you want. But he would have been the same as ourselves. I think, you know, the expectation was there from ourselves, from the fans, that this was going to be our year to do it. And when it didn't happen, you know, it was like, you really felt down about it. It was the one thing I must admit in my career that is the lowest point ever, is the fact that never really picking up the title with United.
Just a word, when you go down to Highbury, as it was then, not the Emirates, of course, and play the Arsenal, that was a special fixture in the calendar, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I used to love going to Highbury, Jim, because, and Kev will tell you, you know, a cold night in the winter, the marble floors in Highbury were beautiful, and we used to walk around in your socks 2 minutes before you went out because they were all heated. All the dressing room floors were heated, lovely marble down at Highbury. So it was a lovely stadium to go to.
We will have a look at the Gunners against United very shortly. That's what was happening on the pitch. What else, though, was going on in 1985?
The Sinclair C5. I am not the coolest guy on the planet. Right? I've realised this in my 48 years. I am not the coolest guy. I've presented programmes about computers. I'm a little bit nerdy about technology and the radio and stuff like that. But even I was not going to buy a Sinclair C5.
I didn't think it was a bad idea at the time. Remember that man driving around in a Sinclair C5. Looked a little bit vulnerable in it, I think. I don't think I'd have been safe. I don't think I'd have felt safe going out on the roads on one, but I certainly remember it. But it never caught on, did it?
All I can remember is he had a beard. I don't remember anything. It was a little car, wasn't it? Yeah, he had a beard. Ginger beard.
You wouldn't want to be in one on the road, put it that way. It was like, no, you just wouldn't want to be on the road. It was a little thing, slow slung, no doors on it, absolutely a waste of space.
C5, maybe is that just a step above a Fiesta or a step below it?
It's when you look in your case, like a scooter kind of thing, but Yeah, it didn't look very secure.
I think what Clive Sinclair has done technology-wise is fantastic. He's made a massive contribution. But I remember looking at the footage of all those things thinking, even he looks uncomfortable on his own Sinclair C5. Who, for heaven's sake, is going to buy that and look such a complete and utter dork? No, I had never had any desire at all ever to own a Sinclair C5.
In my area of the world, in the northeast of England, it was big news. Obviously, there's a lot of mining villages up and around where I lived. So yeah, it was something that stoked up a lot of passion.
Well, Stoke-on-Trent was a big mining town, so most of my friends and families were all miners. So I remember I remember every bit of it really. I can remember because they were rioting where I lived. We were collecting in the streets for the miners. You know, we all did this little bit for them. Yeah, I remember that very, very well.
I remember a lot of violence and a lot of confrontations with the police, and I think we had power cuts as well, if I remember. So it impacted on my life.
I can remember the miners' strike going on and the picket lines and people shouting scabs and stuff like that. And yeah, it nearly brought the country to its knees. Let's hope we don't see anything of that. There's not many mines around now, is there? So I don't think we'll see a major mine strike.
Yeah, it was a defeat for the miners. It was. I think it was pretty tragic. You know, we're sat here in Yorkshire as well. You know, and they were hit really hard, certainly in this area. Tough time, but it was I don't know. You know, it was an industry. It wasn't making money. I don't know what would have been the right answer.
And it seemed to drag on forever. Eventually they came to a peaceful treaty somewhere along the line, but yeah, it wasn't very nice. It was, I think it affected a lot of people.
Norman Whiteside scored the goal, I think.
Just try to picture the goal. Yeah, come in. It was made from that goal, the way he just angled himself and got it onto his left foot and bent it on the keeper. I remember it well. Yeah.
Whiteside shoots. It's there! Norman Whiteside has done it again.
Was that the cup final when Kevin Moran was sent off as well? First person to be sent off in an FA Cup final. Kevin won't thank me for reminding him about that.
McGrath. Oh, mistake by McGrath. Isn't it through here? Oh! Well, Reid has been brought down by Kevin Moran. And that has to be a booking at the very least. It looks as though Peter Willis is going to send Kevin Moran off. It was the denying of the goal-scoring opportunity, and we could have a player sent off in the FA Cup final for the first time ever. Kevin Moran has lost his head.
I do remember it. I remember watching it on TV at home. And again, just feeling for Kevin, really. Infamous for being first person sent off in a cup final.
I think it was a terrible night.
Again, just a massive tragedy.
I was in the pub watching the match near the Mirror, and we all got called back.
And seeing the TV footage of everybody scrambling and trying to get away, and unfortunately people not being able to do that.
It went very, very quickly from being a sports story to a huge news story, as it were.
You know, we've had some terrible tragedies in football, and you would have thought that we'd learnt our lessons, but you know, hopefully we have now, and we'll never, really see anything like that again for a long time, hopefully. Actually, I did like that song, yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, not the best, not his best. I can take Phil Collins, but not a major fan.
I was quite into Phil Collins at the time. I liked his music, I liked Genesis, and yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Not a huge fan, but it was okay. It was easy listening. So I wouldn't have said I hated it, but I probably wouldn't have bought it.
Wasn't it good?
Yes, I do remember it. Elaine Page and yeah, Barbara Dixon. I do, yeah. And that was from I think that was from a musical as well, wasn't it?
It was a West End play. Was it from a West End play?
It was a bit of a ballad, I think it was. Can't remember it, but again, don't think I was probably a big fan of it.
It definitely was from a musical, and I'm definitely not singing that one. Yeah, I remember watching that, staying up to watch that because of the amount of artists that were on.
That's when I first met Bob Geldof, and I think we were involved in the promotion and the sponsorship and the marketing of it. It was an incredible event, absolutely fantastic.
Geldof, brilliant. But for me, Freddie Mercury was just, you know, that day I wasn't majorly into Queen, but from that moment I seen them, I think they came on last, didn't they? They finished the show and they were Freddie Mercury. I think it became a Mercury and Queen fan from that day.
I was eagerly awaiting David Bowie because I'm a big David Bowie fan, and Queen. I think they were on as well, weren't they? And yeah, it was just fantastic because it was at home and then it was over in America as well, wasn't it? As well, it was a brilliant spectacle.
It's the Football League files. It is early 1985. Mobile phones first appeared, would you believe, Norman, and I'm reliably informed, Ernie Wise, would you believe it, was the first fellow to make a mobile phone call in the UK. What an educational programme this is, isn't it?
Oh, fantastic.
That certainly wasn't us.
No, when the mobile phone, the car phones were first in. I think we started to get car phones then. Not so much mobile phones, but having the phone in the car, but not actually a mobile phone.
I can remember doing. I think it was Arnold Muren was on the coach going to Wembley, and he had an early mobile phone, and he was ringing his relatives in Holland, you know. And this phone was like 4 bricks, you know, and the battery lasted about a minute and a half, I think. Can you remember your sort of early experiences on a mobile?
Yeah, well, the earliest experience has got to be your wife could at last get in contact with you, because prior to that, there was always the excuse if you were in town, you were out a little bit, and you'd always say, you went to the phone box, but you know, the phone was vandalised or something like that. Couldn't call you, sorry about that. But now all of a sudden, mobile phones.
I had one of those special ones that only had one way. I could speak to her, but she couldn't speak to her.
And listen, Norman, a 17-year-old called Boris Becker became the youngest ever men's singles champion at Wimbledon, and you did a bit as a 16 and 17-year-old as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic year for Becker, you know, to such an achievement at such a young age. And the other thing I remember in '85 as well, on the sports side of things, was Dennis Taylor, fellow countryman of mine, obviously, beat Steve Davis in that epic final in the World Final. So that was a great year, '85, for people from Northern Ireland, for a start for Dennis Taylor.
I don't know if you're into your soaps. EastEnders hit the screens for the first time. Did you watch it then, and do you watch it now?
I just remember the music more so than watching it. The music was very good.
As soon as you hear the music, you turn it off.
Yeah. No, I was never a fan of the soaps, really. But the music I always enjoyed.
Okay, are you a street man, or are you an EastEnders man, or are you not into the soaps at all?
Not really, but if I had to choose, I would obviously do Coronation Street, because we've got a few friends that actors that work on the set.
Manchester-based, of course, Coronation Street. Thanks for the moment, guys. The boys will be back. The action is right around the corner. We're at Highbury on the Football League files for the Gunners against United. Hello again from the Football League files. The date is February 1985. Kevin Moran and Norman Whiteside are with me. We are all about to enjoy the match at Highbury. It is Arsenal against Manchester United in the company of Brian Moore.
Tony Woodcock is back for Arsenal after being dropped for 2 games, and of course puts himself firmly in the running to keep his place in the England World Cup side in Belfast next Wednesday. No coincidence, of course, that Bobby Robson, the England manager, is here in the big crowd at Highbury today. Well as Woodcock, Charlie Nicholas, sub for the last 2 games, is given a start for Arsenal today. Raphael Meade and Ian Allinson make way, and returning after injury in midfield is Paul Davis. Brian Talbot drops to sub. Blow for Manchester United this morning. Remy Moses failed a fitness test, and so both Moses and Brian Robson out of the United midfield. It means that defender Mick Duxbury will now bolster things up by playing just in front of the midfield,
and the former Arsenal star Frank Stapleton comes into the attack with Norman Whiteside going to sub. The referee today is John Martin of Alton in Hampshire, and a distinguished visitor here this afternoon is the King of Tonga. So Arsenal get us underway, attacking the goal to our right. Manchester United this afternoon in the white shirts, on an afternoon when really the time has come for both these clubs to start making inroads on that lead that Everton have at the top. Both know that 3 points today are so crucial in their bid to get in amongst those championship hopes come May. Arsenal, in fact, have lost only one at home this season in the league. That was against Tottenham. Good record here against Manchester United, although they were beaten 3-2 in this corresponding game last season. And here's a chance for an early break, but the flag was up. Marina's shot was over. The linesman's flag was up. United breathe again with a free kick. Flag went up straight away. And you can see that there probably was a touch of offside about it. Moran. Albiston. Olsen, a lovely ball and a lovely piece of running, and look at the space here for Arthur Albiston. Now, can they finish this one off? Oh, my goodness, it was almost an own goal by Tommy Caton. A lovely run by Olsen, and what a ball there that suddenly put him in the clear for Albiston. And it could so easily have been an own goal by Tommy Caton. And United have a problem. Kevin Moran, who was only past fit late this week, in fact yesterday, because of a calf strain. Looks as though that might present a problem for United now, which probably would mean that Mike Duxbury would have to go into the centre of the defence, and the substitute Norman Whiteside, who's already warming up, would then take one of the forward positions. I think Moran's going off. The physiotherapist Jim McGregor's having a word with the referee. Now whether they want to bring him back at a later juncture, I don't know, but for the moment Manchester United, with Moran off the field, are playing with 10 men. Here's Nicholas. Oh, good play by Nicholas. And, well, not a bad finish either. And with the ball out of play, it's a chance for United to get back to full strength. Kevin Moran off, will stay off, and Norman Whiteside will come on. As if United are having enough troubles with Brian Robson still up in Manchester, and there's Remy Moses in the tracksuit top, also with an injury. Next to him is Alan Davis, who's deciding this weekend whether to join Crystal Palace or not. It's a throw to Arsenal, which Williams has taken. Mariner, the touch for Charlie Nicholas. Now Stuart Robson. Chance to make one of those forging runs of his, and a nice ball studiously played through. And McGrath pulling Woodcock down when Woodcock looked for a moment as though he might be clear and dangerous. And a free kick to Arsenal. That's a lovely ball, studiously played in there, and Woodcock really looked as though he might have pounced on it. So, what can Arsenal do with this? Is it made for a curler from Charlie Nicholas? A blaster from Tony Woodcock? It's Arsenal's free kick, and there are one or two permutations there. Mariner's in the Manchester United wall. It's going to be Woodcock, and it's driven just wide. And a goal kick given. Again, Arsenal thinking that it may have been a corner. Well, you couldn't really tell from that whether there was a deflection or not. Sanson. Nicholas. And now Strachan. It's Sanson with the throw for Arsenal, and a good long one it is. Stapleton finding Olsen. That's not a bad ball for Norman Whiteside. Onto that left foot. A brilliant goal for Manchester United by Norman Whiteside, the substitute. Superbly taken. That gives United the lead on the half hour. Olsen playing a lovely ball through, but the hard work now is done by Norman Whiteside. Arsenal 0, Manchester United 1. Scorer Norman Whiteside. Nicholas. The flags going here. Well, that was a jolt for Arsenal, and it's certainly a warning up in the stand for Bobby Robson, the England manager, with Norman Whiteside due to face England in the World Cup on Wednesday. And relief, although you wouldn't spot it there, on the Manchester United bench. And a bit of a problem there, not only keeping the sun out of their eyes, but wondering how they're going to get the goal back on the Arsenal bench. But here come Arsenal streaming away with Steve Williams. And it won't reach Woodcock. Sanson then with the throw. Here's Nicholas. Corner. Minutes to go in this first half, with Manchester United leading by a goal to nil. O'Leary's gone forward again. Nicholas again with the corner. Oh, and a free header for Viv Anderson. And he put it wide. Well, he's annoyed naturally enough, and there must be vast relief in that Arsenal, in that Manchester United defence. Look at the space they allowed him. Sanson. That's the last strike of the first half by Arsenal, but that will come to nothing because O'Leary's long pass goes into touch. It'll be a throw to Manchester United. Half-time whistle. And the goal after half an hour by Norman Whiteside, and a fine one it was, gives the visitors a lead here at the interval. So the big crowd contemplating what might happen in the second half, but talking over a first half that finishes Arsenal 0, Manchester United 1.
So one apiece at half-time, an absolute beauty from Norman here. Viv Anderson missing an equalising chance late in that half. We'll be right back with the second half. It's the Football League Files. We're at Highbury in February 1985. United are a goal up at half-time thanks to an absolute beauty from Norman Whiteside. Here's the second half with Brian Moore.
I hope our distinguished visitors from Tonga are enjoying the sunshine and the glimpse of our First Division football. So Manchester United get us away at the start of the second half, leading by a goal to nil. Remember, with Kevin Moran off the field, injured, and the substitute Norman Whiteside, who scored the only goal, and Paul McGrath playing in the back four. It's O'Leary now for Arsenal. Manchester United, in fact, who did the double over Arsenal last season, would have already beaten them 4-2 up at Old Trafford this season. But here's Woodcock. It's a shot on the turn, and the first real save of the game that Gary Bayliss had to make. Woodcock with a good turn here. Over the head of Caton, but a foul on him by Stapleton. Free kick. Sanson. Woodcock. It's been pounded by the United defence, particularly McGrath in this second half. Woodcock. Nicholas being watched by Duxbury. Nicholas. Oh, he might go all the way, Charlie Nicholas. Davis with a chance! And somehow Bailey saved it. Under really close attentions there from Tony Woodcock. Made by Charlie Nicholas in the first place, though. Now that's a bit more like it from Nicholas. And the feeling is that Davis might have done a bit more than that, but good work by Bailey. Now, Stapleton. In for Mark Hughes. Might take a bit of holding off. There are 3 to do it, though. Stapleton playing it in. Can Strachan get there? Touch and go there for Arsenal. It needed just a touch from the Scot. And Lukic was already committed. It was a nice little ball played in there. And Lukic gathered it. Strachan's header. He's chased a few causes today as Stapleton, and he's brought down by Caton. And Caton's name goes into the book. Caton claiming it was a pure accident. But there's no doubt at all that Stapleton was through and looking really threatening. Anything might happen here. Ball certainly needs to be perfectly lined up. Gidman's gone wide to the right, and the referee wants the ball back 10 yards. Looks like it might be a blast by Norman Whiteside in point of fact. Olsen touches it, Whiteside blasts it. Goal. Well, a few cheers from the North Bank as Arsenal start to warm up. Brian Talbot. Hughes. 6 minutes remaining now. And still United lead by a goal to 0. Going to try and bring Talbot on now. The linesman flagging away there, but he's not really ready, and that's holding up everything, and I can't think why the linesman was flagging there. Arsenal are not making the effort to get him on right now, and the game's going to be held up for a minute while he gets on. He hasn't even got his sweater off yet. Well, I think that's ridiculous. It's Paul Davis, I think, who'll probably go off, although there isn't a number, unless the referee showing it's the number 8 who's got to go off. And Brian Talbot comes on. Well, he publicly said today that he wasn't very happy at being dropped. He thinks it's his best season he's had at Highbury, and indeed 11 goals to his credit seem to agree with it. Well, one of those goals Arsenal could certainly do with now. Woodcock. Gidman holding him off. Arsenal get the throw inside the last 5 minutes. Robson, Williams. Now the break is on. 3 against 1 for Manchester United. Olsen is one away on the right. Mark Hughes is away here on the left, and only O'Leary is back. Now Olsen, no, he can't finish it off. Lukic was out there. Well, what a moment that was. 3 against 1, and they played it superbly, United. But in the end, Olsen couldn't quite finish it off. And certainly the crowd here of 48,612 must have felt that's goal number 2 for United. But it's a corner instead. Arsenal's 3rd biggest crowd of the season. They had bigger ones against Liverpool and Spurs here. Olsen, and headed clear by Anderson. Olsen again. Well, the lad who had a week or so here as a youngster, training with Arsenal, very nearly scored for United right at the death. Stapleton trying to get in there. Whiteside trying to get in there again. And somehow O'Leary just hacking it away for a Manchester United corner. That's how we get the corner. Precious little time left. Strachan with that corner. And a goal kick. Time has come now for Arsenal to plunge everybody forward in a last desperate attempt to pull something from the game now. Mariner up. Nicholas trying to get Woodcock on his way. In turn trying to get Talbot through. I don't think Talbot's had a touch of the ball yet. Well, the substitute came on and scored for Manchester United. Arsenal will be desperate for the same thing to happen for them now. Well, Whiteside did it, and Talbot also. Inside the last minute now. Free kick to Arsenal. Foul by Strachan on Robson. Pushed everybody forward now. Only Williams, Sampson and goalkeeper Lukic are back. Oh, now Williams is going forward. They've really planted everybody forward now. Anderson tried to get the header in. O'Leary also trying to keep the momentum going for Arsenal. And a corner. Talbot racing off down towards that corner flag with the ball. And they've pushed everybody now into that Manchester United penalty area. Oh, and it was knocked away by Whiteside. So, Nicholas now with the corner at the other end. After Whiteside had done a tremendous job there in defence for Manchester United. Flicked on once more. Sanson trying to get it in there. United trying to get it away. Woodcock also. Robson in there. Caton in there. And in the end it goes behind for the goal kick. A huge relief amongst the big travelling support from Manchester United. And now Whiteside. Referee looking at a watch again. And again. And 3 minutes of injury time now. Free kick to Manchester United. The feet of Viv Anderson a little too high there as he tried an overhead kick. And you have to say now that Arsenal's last chance of forcing an equaliser is probably gone. Alderston with the free kick. Final whistle, a victory and 3 precious points for Manchester United with a goal by Norman Whiteside after half an hour. A lot of pressure from Arsenal late in the game. but never really with a clear sight on goal that would give them a hope of making the breakthrough that really mattered. So a full-time score here at Highbury. It's Arsenal 0, Manchester United 1.
Heroic defending at the end there. You did pretty well, Norman. Don't worry about that. We wonder where you were, by the way, Kevin. All will be revealed very shortly. It's the Football League Files. We've enjoyed a Manchester United victory at Highbury by 1-0, scored by Norman Whiteside. We'll come to you in just a moment, Norman. You know, Kevin, when we do the Football League Files, regularly you seem to get injured and you seem to hobble off, and you didn't last too long at Highbury. Give us the grim details if you could.
But let's look on the bright side of things before you be negative about this, by the way. There was no cuts. That was a bit of a one-off for me anyway. Obviously, I think I went into the game with a calf strain before that because I was touch and go whether I would be able to play. Obviously, I thought I would be able to get through it, but I'm not too sure whether I lasted no more than about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. And obviously, the calf strain reoccurred, and I had to come off. You see me there? I think it was an opportunity to give this young lad another chance to come on and save my bacon.
And apparently the crowd weren't exactly pleased to see you that day.
Oh, that's par for the course, that, Jim. Every ground we went to, I used to get booed.
And just tell us about the position that you came on and played in, Norman, because it's sort of, history's rewritten that story a bit, hasn't it?
It absolutely. Big Ron claims the fact that, you know, he had it all planned, that this was changing my career from a forward to a midfield player. So when I came on, he just said, stay in midfield, left side of midfield, get forward, do a bit of defending for me, see how you get on. Use your pace. Hey, don't knock it on this one. And yeah, and since that game, it's funny actually, Mark Hughes started as a midfielder and I started up front. And after that, we sort of swapped places, if you like. Mark became obviously a top striker, and I slotted back into midfield.
So that was a pivotal game in your career, the one we've just seen.
Completely, and Ron's taken all the credit for it. Big Ron, completely.
Well, listen, he can take credit for a lot of things. He cannot take credit for your goal, though, which was very, very special. At the end of it, you leave David O'Leary heading for the West End, but it's a very, very good build-up as well here.
Yeah, I just started in my own box there, actually, just coming into the picture, and Jasper's just striving forward, and then I've just seen a little gap there and just brought it back with my right foot, and then just a nice little curl around the keeper.
Past John Lukic in off the far post. I mean, in your sort of a scrapbook, to use an old-fashioned word, of goals, that must be pretty high, isn't it, Norman?
Yeah, it's great. It's great to score goals like that, but the score against the Arsenal as well, it always makes it a little bit more special.
Just tell us about your physical sort of approach to the game, because it's quite interesting. In another show, and we pointed out that you got hurt, you got badly hurt, because you did not wear shin pads. I mean, just explain that characteristic.
I was just never used to playing shin pads. Obviously, playing Gaelic football, you know, before coming over here, there's never any shin pads ever been used. And then just playing soccer as well in Ireland, I never bothered with shin pads. It was never... You never had to wear it. It was never compulsory. So even when I came over here then as well, you know, no manager ever told me at the beginning, oh, by the way, our coach, why aren't you wearing shin pads? So I never bothered wearing them.
Really? I mean, and despite the fact that it might have avoided one or two nasty old gashes that you picked up in your career.
Yeah, well, I know, you see it there. There was one particular one against Liverpool at Old Trafford. And it was only after watching it, because I don't even remember receiving the injury. And I went down and pulled the sock back, and my whole leg had just opened up. And Gordon McQueen was there. And the one thing you can remember is his screams around Old Trafford then at that particular time.
That must have made you feel better.
Yeah, he didn't exactly. That's true. A bit squeamish was our Gordon at that time. But no, even after that, I remember thinking to myself, I think I should start looking.
Just what's interesting, you got one of the game's real hard men here, and he's looking across at you as though you must be crackers. Why didn't you wear pads?
I don't know. I just never bothered. And until eventually I thought to myself, this might be a good idea to put these pads in, because, you know, after that particular incident, I did do.
Again, Norman, just looking at one or two of the tackles that flew in here, these days it would have been a straight red and possibly a riot as well. I mean, people getting taken out with goal-scoring opportunities.
That was a great little through ball there, Jim. I think it was Big McGrath that takes him out here. Just
yes.
Completely. It was definitely...
Not even a card, by the way.
and Frank just gets in front there, and then Tommy Caton. Yeah, Tommy Caton, God bless him.
That certainly would have been a sending off. I think, I'm not too sure about the Woodcock one, but Frank was already through. Kidman had come around for the Woodcock one. But it is amazing to see some of the tackles in those days.
And again, from a player's perspective there is no surrounding the referee, there's no one having a go, there's no one waving a card, nothing.
Nothing. You just got on with it. Yeah, it's funny, you do forget that. You know, and then you watch it as well, and you look at the pitch and how bubbly and bumpy it was then as well. But you're spot on. As regards tackles, we just got up and took it. Never a complaint from anybody.
I think you'll find, Jim, that with the tackling, you get a yellow card or a red card. All the yellow cards in today's game will probably be for dissent and hustling the referee. And it's not down to the physical side of the game, it's more the verbal side, which, you know, again, is just, you know, completely stupid.
And to show that you were hurt, even you lying there with your leg gashed open, was a sign of weakness.
I didn't want to come off. It was only when they brought on the stretcher that time against Liverpool I had to go off.
Towards the end of that game, Norm, I mean, you did some work that he'd have been really proud of as a defender, some heroic stuff at the end that kept United in victory intact, really. Great stuff in your own box.
Well, I just thought, well, if I'm going to play in midfield, I'll have to get stuck in there. So I just found myself in the right position just to hook that one away, really. And then here, I just made a challenge, basically, to try and get it out of our box, because it was in the final minutes.
And it was desperate moments with the Arsenal piling all those bodies in there, but United held on to their win. And I saw up in the director's box there, you probably had a bit of a chance to go and meet him. The King of Tonga was there. I mean, not someone that you would sort of reach to as a great football fan, and you're probably asleep behind those glasses, really. Not the most animated human spectator you've ever seen.
No, we emailed each other after that since.
But again, now you'll be delighted you've come into this show, because we're going to wind it forward and we're going to have a little look at the FA Cup final towards the end of that season. And I'm sure you've never seen this before in your life, to be quite honest, but they assure me it's going to come up nice and fresh to you. And we're talking about sendings off and people not getting sent off. Well, you actually managed it in the FA Cup final.
You must remember, any time I come off, if you notice Norman scores. Well, this was it.
A bit of a dive, wasn't it, really?
I can remember, as I said, I walked away from that at the time thinking, you know, the referee's not going to do anything. Now he's calling me back, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe he's going to give me a yellow card. What have I done, you know? Because I went for the ball.
Bearing in mind what we have just seen, I mean, to get a red at Wembley for that one in those days, was that harsh?
I thought it was very harsh.
I thought you might.
I thought it was. I thought at the time it was very harsh. I must admit, when I saw it afterwards, it looked a lot worse when you see it from a different angle. So a lot depends on how the referee saw it. But I can remember my foot being totally on the ground going for the ball, so it wasn't high or anything like that at all, really. So
yeah. And when you went off there, did you think, goodness me, what a disgrace, I'm the first person ever to have been sent off in an FA Cup final? Wasn't that thought uppermost in your mind?
Never even dawned on me. I actually went off and I was kind of like half numbed. All I could think about was, if we lose this game, I'll blame myself, because you're the one being sent off. But thankfully, this guy came up big trumps.
Yeah, I mean, we're making light of it. It was a horrible moment for you, really, and I can remember watching it and feeling very, very sympathetic. But you didn't lose it, and thanks to a very, very special curler from the man on your right. And we talked about that special goal at Highbury. Well, this one, bearing in mind the occasion, this has to top it, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, we were actually very, very tired, but I used to practice this in training, to be fair. Just use the defender as a screen, Jim. And when I looked up and I seen Neville holding onto his post, I threw my leg over the ball, and Pat Van den Hauwe came into Neville's view, so Neville is now obstructed from seeing the ball, and that was the moment when I hit it. So he was always going to be too late to get to it. So luckily, it worked on the big day.
The big day, and the FA Cup went United's way and went Ron's way as well. And a very, very special day for the football club, and that, presumably at the end of it, Kevin, seeing it once again, that's all that mattered for you. You might have gone off early, but you got your winner's medal.
Absolutely. You can just even see my delight then. It was the first time I think I had a smile on my face after coming off. And I was in a great position to see it as well. I was right behind Norman.
He was very, I remember, Kev, on the sort of the Sunday and the Monday with all the papers coming out. And it was all about Kevin, not about my goal. It was all about the first ever to be sent off, and he was very apologetic. He was like, "Oh, sorry about that, Norman. Sorry."
You've seen one of the best ever goals at Wembley being scored, and there was more talk about.
It's us media people, you know, we're terrible. We love bad news. You see, we love bad news. That's what it is. So another FA Cup, but I think fourth in the league. You finished behind Everton, you finished behind Liverpool, finished behind Spurs. So again, a league campaign with all that was going on with that elusive title, disappointing.
It was. I think it wasn't a real fourth. I think if you looked at it, it could easily have been a second, but what difference does it make? We were never going to catch Everton at that stage. I think we lost our last couple of games before that. But we had next year to look forward to.
Great stuff. I've enjoyed it. Cheers, Kevin. Thank you, Norman. Thank you very much indeed. And there we are. We close the Football League files for another week. We'll see you next time. Thanks for your company. Cheerio.